Welcome back to the Reflections Texas podcast. Today, in episode 6, Karen Benson talks about elbow bush, an important food source for insects and mammals. Its intense fragrance is one of the first things you'll notice when visiting the Texas South Plains in early spring. We hope you enjoy the podcast and learn something exciting and new. If you enjoy these podcasts, please consider following us. Your interest and support are what make these broadcasts possible.
You may be familiar with the greeting card sentiment, bloom where you are planted. I've always liked that thought. However, over the years, I have modified it somewhat. My motto has become appreciate what blooms where you are planted. I'm now planted in South Texas, and I love the brush country shrubs. I know that many area farmers and ranchers see brush as something that hinders grass grow, something to get rid of. To me, though, it is a warren of exciting habitats and a pantry full of food for wildlife. Some 50 or so species of shrubby plants thrive in the brush. About half of them are thorny, the others are unarmed. All of them are adapted to periodic drought conditions. Most people are familiar with blackbrush. It does have wicked thorns, but its flowers are delightfully fragrant. It is one of the early bloomers, and in non-drought years it is usually in full bloom by early February. After so many months of little rain, blackbrush isn't bursting forth in its usual abundance. Still, in drought years, I have found about 10% of blackbrush is in bloom, and we may breathe in its heady perfume. I'm especially fond of the thornless shrubs in the brush. They may produce a nearly impenetrable thicket, but at least you are not scarred by pushing through it. My favorite unarmed shrub is narrow-leaf forestiera. It is also called elbow bush because its side branches go off at nearly right angles to the main stem, like a bent elbow joint. Elbow bush flowers in February. If you go exploring in a patch of brush in early spring, you should see some in bloom. Most elbow bushes, but not all, lose their leaves in winter, so what you're likely to see are slender, naked branches with some soft, greenish-yellow fuzziness along them. A close look will reveal the fuzziness to be clusters of tiny flowers. It would help if you had a magnifier to examine elbow bush flowers. Each cluster is made of several flowers, usually 4 in the bundle, and the whole bundle may only be half an inch across. The flowers have no petals, there are only the sepals, which are tiny leaf-like bud coverings at the base of the stamens and pistils. Since these sepals are green, they are hard to distinguish from tiny leaves. So you see why forestiera flowers are called inconspicuous. Looking at a forestiera bush in bloom, you will notice many pollinators. The typical pollinators are honeybees and native bees, and both have had a hard time in winter. With so little brush in bloom, forestiera may be the bees' salvation. You can find a flowering forestiera by sound easier than by sight. Just listen for the low hum of bees as you explore a brush patch. The hum will be the sound of bees busy at the tiny flowers. Besides the beneficial insects that feed on the flowers, several butterflies and moths feed on elbow bush leaves. Some of the hairstreaks, butterflies with thread-like tails on their hindwings, are common brush country inhabitants. Gray hairstreaks caterpillars feed on various plants, including elbow bush. And sphinx moth caterpillars, sometimes called hornworms, are found on forestiera. Bigger animals also find elbow bushes quite palatable. Livestock and deer browse on it in preference to other brush. In spring, the leaves contain up to 21% crude protein, making the plant quite nutritious. Perhaps the best food from elbow bush is its fruit. The bluish-black drupes are like tiny olives. Forestiera is a genus in the olive family, and the seed inside of each fruit is like a miniature olive pit. Both fruits and seeds are relished by small mammals, bobwhite quail, doves, and numerous songbirds. Because of its wildlife value, narrow-leaf forestiera is also an excellent choice for the suburban landscape. A bush or two at the back of your garden is a good start toward a more eco-friendly yard. The brushes can be pruned if they get lanky and can make quite attractive ornamental shrubs. I would recommend growing some narrow-leaf forestiera. I think it is a most worthy plant. But don't take my word for it. Go out to your favorite brush patch and listen. If you hear the hum of bees, look around, and you may have found a flowering forestiera.
If you would like to learn more about Wild Texas, visit our website at www.reflectionstexas.com. Thank you.